Another batch of equipment is being moved to Vietnam. Foxconn's Shenzhen plant is getting quieter and quieter.
Recently, a video showing the relocation of equipment from Foxconn's Longhua plant in Shenzhen has been circulating online. This seems to confirm earlier rumors about Foxconn potentially withdrawing from China entirely. Foxconn is Apple's primary contract manufacturer. Shenzhen Longhua Foxconn in Guangdong Province is the second largest factory in China, operated by the Taiwanese Honghai Technology Group, only second to the Zhengzhou Foxconn plant in Henan Province. At its peak, it employed up to 150,000 people. There have been impressive videos capturing the early morning rush at Longhua Foxconn. Every morning around 7 a.m., employees would start streaming into the factory continuously until 8 a.m. During this hour, tens of thousands of people entered the Foxconn plant through dozens of gates, queuing to clock in at the entrance. Inside, shuttle buses, employees' private cars, and delivery trucks were in constant motion, with traffic police directing the flow at the factory's intersections. The scene in the cafeteria was equally impressive. It is said that Longhua Foxconn staff consumes 20 tons of rice, over 100 pigs, and 600,000 eggs daily. Founded in 1988, Longhua Foxconn was once the headquarters of Foxconn in mainland China. Starting with only a few hundred employees, it has grown into the largest factory in Shenzhen, covering nearly 667 acres with over 100 factory buildings and dozens of dormitories. Spanning 2.5 kilometers from south to north, it takes at least 30 minutes to cycle across the Longhua Foxconn campus, which boasts amenities ranging from cafeterias to gyms, libraries, and schools, making it almost a self-contained town. Longhua Foxconn is just one of Foxconn's plants in Shenzhen. The other two are Guanlan Foxconn and Baoyuan Foxconn. While these two plants are smaller, the Guanlan campus once employed 100,000 people, and Baoyuan had a peak workforce of 50,000. However, with the shift in Apple's supply chain, Foxconn's development strategy is also changing. Since last year, there have been ongoing reports of equipment relocations from Foxconn in Shenzhen, mainly to India and Vietnam. As Apple orders gradually decrease, so does the number of employees. Today, the scale of these three Shenzhen factories is significantly reduced compared to the past. As Apple's primary contract manufacturer, Foxconn once operated 45 factories in China, employing over 1.2 million people at its peak. If Foxconn were to withdraw from China, it could result in massive unemployment for many workers. Recently, a post about a Chinese man kneeling to apologize to Foxconn sparked heated discussions online. The content stated that he had been misled by previous news reports, labeling Foxconn as a sweatshop. After working at a local private shoe factory, he realized that his compatriots were more exploitative than foreign capitalists. He apologized to Foxconn after experiencing the harsh realities. The man explained that at the shoe factory, he couldn't go to the bathroom without permission, and if he couldn't hold it, he had to relieve himself in his pants. In contrast, Foxconn allowed a 10-minute break every 2 hours and provided designated smoking areas. At the shoe factory, workers had to shape hot shoe uppers without gloves, which they had to purchase themselves for 3 yuan each day. At Foxconn, workers received a pair of gloves daily. He also compared salaries, stating that the shoe factory paid 4,500 yuan per month for 17-hour workdays from 6:50 a.m. to 11 p.m., while Foxconn paid the same amount for 10-hour workdays. Additionally, Foxconn covered medical expenses when workers fell ill, unlike the shoe factory, which didn't even provide social insurance. Comments under the post praised the realization that harsh conditions can make people appreciate their circumstances. Some users noted, "He is telling the truth. Anyone who has worked in a factory knows he is not exaggerating." The man's experience is indeed common in private factories in China. Recently, a video showing an employee being fired for using the bathroom at a tech company in Dongguan went viral online.
Didn't you say we can't use the bathroom? I didn't say you can't use the bathroom. Then why did you fire me when I went to the bathroom? Tell me, why did you fire me? I just went to the bathroom. You're not suited to work in our factory, okay? Give him a permanent holiday, starting right now.
Foxconn, as a labor-intensive company, is far from perfect. Most Foxconn employees are young, and the monotonous work on the electronic production lines can be tedious. During peak seasons, working hours are long, though overpay is provided as per regulations. However, some young employees find it hard to adapt to such dull work, which led to several suicides in previous years. This caused much of the Chinese media to label Foxconn as a sweatshop. Under this media influence, many uninformed people often criticize Foxconn online. Now that Foxconn is finally leaving, many who are forced to work in private factories in China realize that compared to local enterprises, the so-called sweatshop Foxconn is like a paradise. The young man in the following video is one of those who have come to this realization.
Foxconn, the manufacturer of Apple phones, has finally been driven away by people like you. Are you satisfied now? From the bottom of my heart, I think it's a pity. Even if Apple's Foxconn isn't perfect, it provided jobs for those without education, allowing them to earn a living at Foxconn. Each job represents many families. Even though Huawei phones are good, without an education, can it offer you a job? Can the employer even look at you straight in the eye? Can you earn a penny from it?
Not only is Foxconn leaving Shenzhen, but its largest factory in Henan province, Zhengzhou City, is also reportedly transferring to India, resulting in a sharp reduction in orders and a drastic decrease in the workforce. Recently, an article published by the Chinese social media outlet Bingchuan Think Tank highlighted Foxconn's gradual relocation to India, which has severely affected Henan province's foreign trade performance, drawing widespread attention and further fueling rumors of Foxconn's withdrawal. The article points out that the data and facts following Foxconn's partial capacity transfer demonstrate that we have greatly underestimated the impact of leading enterprises and the chain reactions they trigger. Who would have thought that Apple's accelerated expansion in India would directly affect Zhengzhou in Henan province, thousands of miles away? The article cites recent data from the General Administration of Customs of China, showing that in the first quarter, 10 out of 31 provinces experienced a decline in import and export volumes. Henan, one of the top 10 provinces in foreign trade, saw a significant drop of 23% in net imports, with exports falling by 29%. The primary reason is the substantial decrease in mobile phone exports, as Foxconn in Zhengzhou is a major Apple phone manufacturer and Henan's largest exporter. In the first quarter of this year, Foxconn's export data plummeted by 58%. Statistics reveal that in the first quarter of this year, Henan exported only 6.6 million mobile phones, a sharp drop of 10 million units compared to the same period last year, marking a decline of 61%. The export value of mobile phones fell from 71 billion yuan to 27 billion yuan, a decrease of 62%. This is an unprecedented decline. Annually, in 2023, Henan exported 57.6 million mobile phones, a decrease of 14.5% from 2022. Despite this, the import and export value of the Shenzhen Comprehensive Bonded Zone, where Foxconn is located, still reached 407 billion yuan, accounting for 74% of Zhengzhou's total import and export and 50% of Henan's. Comprehensive Bonded Zones are special customs supervision areas established by the Chinese government. This indicates that Henan's mobile phone exports have been declining since last year, and this downward trend is continuing. Since Foxconn started in Zhengzhou in 2010, the city has become known as the world's largest Apple phone production base. It has benefited from the growth of Apple's iPhone, maintaining the top position in central China's foreign trade for over a decade. However, This year, due to the significant drop in Foxconn's exports, Henan province has lost its top position in central China's foreign trade to Anhui province. The article concludes that even considering the 19% drop in Apple's sales in China in the first quarter and the global decline in mobile phone sales, the reduction should not be this substantial. This likely indicates that Foxconn, which has held the top spot in global mobile phone manufacturing for many years, is moving some production lines out of Henan. Zhengzhou's foreign trade heavily relies on Foxconn, which in turn depends on Apple. In recent years, Apple has been gradually shifting its supply chain to India, with Foxconn focusing on relocating to India. Reports indicate that at the beginning of last year, only 5% to 7% of Apple's iPhones were manufactured in India. By the end of the year, that number had risen to 14%. According to JP Morgan, by 2025, 25% of Apple's global iPhone production will be based in India. Foxconn plans to double the capacity of its existing factory in Chennai, India. By 2024, it aims to produce approximately 20 million iPhones annually and increase its workforce to 100,000 employees, doubling the current number. The article points out that the global trade system is never isolated. It exemplifies the butterfly effect. A butterfly flapping its wings in South America can cause a tornado in Texas. If Foxconn truly withdraws, it will not be the only one leaving. A simple comparison of Foxconn's impact on Henan's economic growth before and after its arrival clearly illustrates the point. In 2010, when the founder of Foxconn, Terry Gou, chose to establish the company in Zhengzhou, over 200 upstream and downstream companies followed suit and settled in Henan. Consequently, the central region of Henan, previously a major source of outflowing population and lacking modern industrial support, rapidly developed an electronics industry. The overall scale of Zhengzhou's electronic information industry grew 25-fold. By 2020, Zhengzhou Foxconn had become the largest export trading company in China, with annual exports totaling 31.6 billion. This single company contributed 80% of Zhengzhou's total import and export volume and 60% of Henan provinces. Take Zhengzhou Airport Economic Zone, for example. The year Foxconn was officially established, the GDP of the zone was only 20.6 billion yuan. By 2021, the GDP had reached 117.2 billion yuan, with more than five-fold increase. At its peak, Foxconn contributed as much as 25% to Zhengzhou's GDP. This highlights Foxconn's importance to Zhengzhou and Henan province at large. Even on a smaller scale, Foxconn, once employing 320,000 workers, significantly boosted local commerce and service industries. For instance, the commercial pedestrian street in Zhengzhou Port New District, once bustling and dubbed a mini Hong Kong due to Foxconn, is now almost deserted. Shops including restaurants, hair salons, department stores, and clothing stores are either closed or open with no customers, a stark contrast to its former glory. The surrounding rental housing market has also shifted from high demand to little interest. Earlier this year, internal workers at Zhengzhou Foxconn revealed that the factory had been continuously moving equipment out, with many Indian workers assisting in the dismantling. Local labor agencies reported that Foxconn had stopped hiring. Labor agencies analyzing the reduction in Foxconn staff suggest two reasons. Some current Foxconn workers found the current salary and benefits much lower than last year and chose to leave voluntarily. Meanwhile, Foxconn has tightened hiring quotas. Therefore, there are fewer and fewer workers left. Additionally, due to Foxconn's lower salary and benefits, surrounding businesses have also reduced their hiring terms. In China, some people view Foxconn as a factory working for Apple and creating wealth, but with low-end, low-profit and little regard for workers' rights, playing a passive role in the industry chain. They criticize such companies for coming to China and even question, can Henan people not survive without Foxconn? However, upon careful analysis, those who shout for Foxconn to get out of China might not have realized that they are actually jeopardizing their own livelihoods and those of their compatriots. For workers, a small change in the industry can become an unbearable burden on their shoulders. Moreover, they have greatly underestimated the influence of leading enterprises and the chain reactions they trigger. For instance, we previously mentioned Foxconn in Nanning's Shajing area, which was once a large factory employing 100,000 people. Now it is almost deserted, with the entire operation moved to Vietnam. Recently, a local resident looking for housing discovered numerous unfinished buildings. Many high-rise residential buildings still have their scaffolding up or are topped out but incomplete, all of which have halted construction. The sites are overgrown with weeds, and some foundations have water-filled pits, creating a desolate scene. The abundance of unfinished buildings is reportedly due to the real estate boom triggered by Foxconn's arrival. Numerous real estate companies rushed in, some even starting construction without completing the proper procedures. Additionally, there are many local resettlement houses, also known as tertiary houses, with unclear property rights, making them difficult to sell. If Foxconn were still there, these houses would easily find buyers. However, with Foxconn nearly entirely withdrawn, these properties are left unfinished. Former Foxconn employees who bought these homes not only lost their jobs, but also ended up with unfinished houses they cannot move into, causing great distress. A similar fate has befallen Foxconn in Kunshan, Jiangsu province.
这是富士康位于昆山城北的工业园区。
This is Foxconn's industrial park in the northern part of Kunshan City. The park covers 1,400 acres, and at its peak, it had up to 50,000 employees. In recent years, as Foxconn has continuously moved its production lines to Southeast Asia, there are now only about 5,000 employees left here. The previous rush of employees during shift changes is a thing of the past. When Apple leaves China, when Foxconn leaves many of our regions, it results in massive job losses, decreased tax revenue, and economic decline, even collapse. When Apple leaves, the entire supply chain follows, going to India, going to Southeast Asia. Therefore, today's China must resolutely shout out the slogan, "Don't let Apple run away."
Some might argue that without Foxconn, there are domestic alternatives like Ofilm, Luxshare, Precision, and BYD. With the rise of the new energy vehicle industry, the economy can still be supported. For example, when the real estate market fluctuated significantly, some suggested that the new energy vehicle industry could compensate. Now, with changes in the mobile phone market, hopes are once again pinned on new energy vehicles. But the question is, can the new energy vehicle industry replace everything? Using common sense, we should recognize that no matter how large and promising the new energy vehicle industry may be, it cannot simultaneously replace the enormous scale of the real estate industry and the high-frequency consumption of the mobile phone industry. Manufacturing may sit downstream in the industrial chain with lower profit margins, but it provides substantial employment. Employment drives consumption, which in turn promotes market prosperity and economic development, forming a virtuous cycle. Additionally, as the contract manufacturer for Apple's cutting-edge products, Foxconn spreads technological innovation during its production process, boosting the development of local Chinese manufacturing firms. These benefits cannot be easily replicated by domestic alternatives in the short term. Moreover, it is these seemingly low-end manufacturing firms that establish China's status as the world's factory. Now, many contract manufacturing firms are demonized, and policies like replacing old industries with new ones, hoping to develop so-called high-end manufacturing, have driven these factories away. However, based on the current situation, many cities have pushed out low-end manufacturing without successfully developing high-end industries. For the complex economic system, this is not a simple replacement game, but a high-risk fundamental overhaul with a low probability of success.